You are now touching almost £10 million worth of revenue. Do you still have pinch me moments?
If I'd have known back then that this is what I would be doing, I would never have believed it. There was a lot of just follow the flow, just follow your intuition. And I believed that. I love the idea of live more and give more. That is what it means to be able to raise £17,000. We did it in an hour. Sales is about being of service. The more money you make, the more you can live and the more you can give.
Suzy Ashworth is a single mum of 3. She was also a high school dropout, and she is very much a powerhouse of a woman. Since launching her very own business in 2013, which is when she got her very first client, Suzy has amassed over £10 million worth of revenue. She now certifies coaches as well as teaching coaches how to build, grow and scale their business, and is very much focused not only on the practicalities, but also the energetics behind building a fantastic business. Suzy and I, 20 years ago, worked together in our offices in Camden within the world of advertising sales. So this is a kind of a pinch me moment that we're both sat here speaking about the business that she's built, all that she has got ahead of her, and everything that she has done alongside just working harder. Welcome to Don't Work Harder, the business show brought to you by Atomic, and I'm your host, Suman Randhawa. This is the show where we teach you how you can take huge leaps in your business, not just by working harder, but by working braver. Suzy, so good to see you.
It's really good to see you. I don't know why, but I feel a tad nervous. So
yeah.
I don't know why.
It's because you're on the other side. Suzy, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only been in this space for about 4 years, but I feel like I've been going at a really fast speed. But you are kind of like the OG, like 13, is it 12 or 13 years since you've had your very first client?
12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when I did the intro, I talked about the fact that in that time, you are now touching almost £10 million worth of revenue.
Yeah.
Do you still have pinch me moments, or does it all become a bit like you get used to it?
Well, that is definitely a pinch me moment. You know, I was saying to you, like, oh, this is the milestone. We're like £7,000 off it. And to actually express that to somebody out loud and it not be like, this is the year that we do it. That was oh my goodness. But I've just come off the back of a weekend where I hosted my annual event, Infinite Receiving Live. There were so many pinch me moments during that event. I think that probably one of the things that has got better over time is my appreciation of the present moment and what is going on.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I have many moments where I'm like, wow, and wow, and wow, and oh my goodness, this is my life. And if I'd have known back then that this is what I would be doing, I would never have believed it.
Did you picture this, Suzy?
Oh, no.
No?
Not in a trillion years. I never had. You know how people are like, when I was 7, I used to stand outside my house and I was selling lemonades.
Yeah.
That was never me. I never thought that I would run my own business. That was not what my parents did. It was not in my psyche at all that was a possibility for me.
And you know what I was just thinking of is when I do the maths, you were also really young.
I was young.
So that was possibly like one of your very first jobs before you went into like more your grown-up media jobs, I would imagine.
It was my first job.
Right.
And our mutual friend, who I'm also still friends with, she is the person who gave me a chance. And that's why I was like, was it really 20 years ago? Because I remember like being 21, 22. Actually, no, you are.
It was, wasn't it?
Right, because I was 21 and 22 in Thailand. Then I moved to Brighton and worked in the Brighton Evening Argus. And then I came to London. So, yeah.
So it was around about that.
Yeah, you're right.
So so it's a pinch me moment and you have many.
Yeah.
But I think that's really quite key what you say, because I know that's something that I probably still a little bit guilty of, is not appreciating and always thinking about what do we go on to next. So when you run a business, you have employees, you have lots of clients,
Yep.
you've got multiple strands that you're focusing on at any one time. What does an appreciation moment look like? Like, what do you practically do? And when do you get time to do it?
I think that it's always in the moment. Like, one of my favorite things to do still is coach. So even if I am on Voxer with a client and they share something with me, it's like, hang on a minute, let's just stop. Because I work with a lot of type A, extremely ambitious, always on to the next thing, on to the next thing. So quite often my pinch me moments are their pinch me moments.
Right.
And I'm like, hang on, did you just say that you have made twice as much money in about half the amount of time that you did last year? Okay, let's just take a minute to be like, that is amazing. So often that is, I'm expressing it for them. I'm making them pause. And then after, I'm like, wow. If ever I have a moment of self-doubt, or if ever I think, God, I could be doing better, or I should be doing better, I just take a second to be like, how many people have I celebrated over the last week because of work that we have done together?
Yeah.
And that always makes me feel like, so, there's in life and in business, I'm good now at just being like, this is cool. This is really cool.
And yes, obviously you've been in business 12, 13 years, but actually it got me thinking more about visibility. So before I even knew what you did, you were very visible to me. So talk to me about visibility. How much has that been a part of your strategy?
This is such an interesting question, because I remember when I first started, Instagram wasn't really that big.
Yeah.
But Facebook was big.
Right.
And I remember that I essentially started documenting what I was doing on my personal Facebook profile. I remember being wildly excited about everything that I was doing. And I was just sharing.
And what was that everything? Like, as in business, personal, what in particular?
It was business.
Right.
I was training as a hypnotherapist and a psychotherapist. And it was the training, and it was the studying, and then it was the working with people, and then it was getting my first clients. Like, I was just sharing with everybody all of the time. And the really interesting thing is that I don't actually remember that being taught to me as a strategy.
I was going to ask you, do you know why you were doing it?
I don't know. I think I was just doing it. And then I realized that, the first places that I was visible on were like the forums. This is when people would go into chat rooms and talk about what was going on locally. And I was like, right, this is where I can advertise. This is where I can start asking questions and letting people know that I've got hypnobirthing groups going on at this time and this time. It was leaflets. And where else might I be able to share what it is that I'm doing? The Facebook profile was really about documenting. And at that time, also, I'd be documenting, I've just had like a hot chocolate. I've just had it's like silly things. It was the silly things and what I was actually doing. And I did that from very early on. And then when I started teaching business, I knew that visibility was huge. And so I would run visibility challenges.
Okay. Is it easier to be visible when you have a more, and this is less you, like this is like a general question, when you have a more extrovert part of your personality that you can tap into?
Yeah, I think so.
So what do you say to those people that you now work with that don't feel like they're extrovert? We're going to take a short pause to hear from one of our sponsors. Sponsors help us make the best show possible. Don't Work Harder is sponsored by Constant Contact, the digital marketing platform built with small business owners in mind. With Constant Contact, you can grow your contacts list, send out more emails, organize social media and events, and simply get more done with their advanced automation tools. It's everything you need to grow your business, advance your automation, and attract more of the right customers all in one place. Visit constantcontact.com to get started. What do you say to those people that you now work with that don't feel like they're extrovert?
actually, when I was in media, I was paired with somebody who was extremely extrovert, an incredible storyteller, and just they loved being the center of attention. And because I wasn't as confident as he was, I didn't want to compete. And what I realized actually is that I was very good at connecting like this, one on one. So I would pick my people that I wanted to connect with. I'd go like make a beeline for them. And then we'd have just like private conversations where I would really get to know them and start to build relationships with them on an individual level. And I think that the same can be applied even now. If you don't love being on social media, which I have to say, like, work it out because it's free.
Yeah.
And because it's free, and in the beginning you have more time than money, it's wild if you cannot get over yourself enough to actually utilize it. But if you are somebody who is like, I do not want to do social media in that way, you've got to get out in person. You've got to be connecting with people. You have to do the networking that way. And again, you don't have to be center of attention, but you have to be interested enough to want to talk to people and get to know them. And the more you do that, the more people will remember your name.
Yeah. And I actually really love the use of the word have to, because I think we get to make choices, don't we?
Yeah.
Like when we're building a business, and I love seeing the patterns. And one of the patterns that are really coming through for me is visibility, but it's often starting with people saying, like so many people will say, I was just doing my makeup in the beginning. I was just talking about when I was going on my way here. You were just documenting something, you know, a business that you were building without realizing the impact of it. Of course, then you've got reach.
Yeah.
But then there is the option, sure, if you don't want to be on social media, like be out there. If you were to go back to the Suzy that set up that hypnobirthing school, is there anything that she needs to know that would have changed anything?
Yeah, I think that I would have been more intentional about collaboration when I first started. I did have a business partner when I first started, and that partnership did not end very well. I think that made me a little bit like just very focus on yourself. You can do this. And I don't think that was necessarily a bad thing. However, community is everything. And some of the best friendships that I have are because I have been intentional about being friends with these people. And I think that still, actually, even now, sometimes those friendships I don't utilize in a business partnership as well as what I could do, because I love the authenticity and the cleanness of our friendship. But in terms of scaling and increasing your impact, you can really benefit from the halo effect, which is essentially just somebody else who is either as equally well known as you or more well known than you saying, I rate this person. You can grow your business and your reach so much further when you are strategic with your partnerships. And if I was going to repeat it, then that's the thing that I would do better.
What are the questions that you ask yourself when you decide if it's a yes, and I'm going to use some Suzy language here, full body yes, or when it's a lovely opportunity but not right for my business? What is it that you ask yourself? Because I think that'd be quite useful to learn from you on that.
Well, it's different now to what it was in the beginning.
Okay.
And in the beginning, I think you pretty much say yes to everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell us how it changes then.
Yeah, you just say yes to everything.
Okay.
Now, because of time and energy and kids, I will say yes if it's a friend.
Yeah.
I'll say yes if it's a client.
Okay.
And then I will say yes if they have the reach or it feels exciting to me. Sometimes I will say, like before my last event, I was saying yes to people who had bought the book and done like a book club with their 25 people. And then
I see.
And then I was saying yes, and it was like a Q&A. It'd be like, can you do my podcast? Can you do it? Now that probably is not going to reach very many people. However, I really understand that part of my brand is my level of accessibility and relatability.
Yeah.
And there is aspiration there as well. But I know that when people talk to me and they understand that really I'm a very real individual, those people become super fans for life. They're
Yeah.
the people that tell their friends and their friends and their friends and their friends. So if somebody has given any level of investment to me, even if they have a small brand, I am pretty, if I've got the time in my calendar, I'm likely to say yes.
What is the advice you give about, the old version of you versus the version now? Do you try and curate it or edit it in any way?
No. I think that what is very interesting for me is if I listen to even my first YouTube videos,
Yeah.
which are out there and visually ridiculous. However, if you listen to what I'm saying, I've been saying the same thing for 12 years. And that always blows my mind because I'm always trying to think of like different ways to say this and different ways to say that. And then I'll pick up my book and be like, oh, that's exactly what I said in chapter. Like, it is all the same,
Yeah.
just little variations. And I think that that is very, very powerful because
So true.
what I share in business and in life, they're foundational truths that have become more true over time, sometimes more nuanced over time, but ultimately the crux is the crux. And what I would say actually, especially now, because of the rise of AI, we are going to see people using Google less and less.
Yeah.
So traditional PR has never been more important than what it is now.
Yeah.
We're going to see a mass resurgence. So the more podcasts that you can do, the more magazines, the more media, traditional media that you are able to get, the more likely you are to come up when people are searching in ChatGPT versus Google now about this person. So the other day, somebody said to me, I was looking in ChatGPT for spiritual books that XYZ, and it was like Rebecca Campbell, Gabby Bernstein, Suzy Ashworth. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that that is because of what you have just said.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. So your model of business now then, what are you known for?
I think I am known a lot for mindset and manifestation and the energetics of business on a surface level.
Yeah.
But as soon as you come into my world,
Yeah.
you understand that it's strategy, it's messaging, it's sales,
Yeah.
it's money.
Yeah.
So it's quite broad. I think that, yeah, most people come into my world with thinking about the light stuff and then come in and realize that I'm a strategic genius.
And certification is something that is like now the core of your business, right?
Yeah.
Suzy, that's massive. Like to get something that is recognized and certified. I know you know it's massive, but I'm like just kind of observing.
Yes.
How long did that take for you to introduce that? Because when I worked with you, it was the model was a huge coaching container.
Yeah.
You decided that you were going to go in a slightly different direction. Could you talk me through how you made that decision and what the process of certification is like?
To answer the first part, how long did it take? A decade.
Did it? A decade of thinking?
A decade of gaining my experience.
Right.
And really being like, I can teach this now. And not just, I wasn't thinking about, can I certify it for 10 years? People had mentioned it to me before. And I was like, I work so intuitively. I don't think that I can, I don't know how I can systemize this. And then having a woman called Sesh come onto my team who used to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Once we started working with each other and I really understood what her strengths were, I was like, I can really utilize all of the times that she's built lesson plans, all of the times that she's disseminated her science projects, and actually help me put together what the step by step is of my process. Because when you have thousands and thousands of hours of coaching, of course there are patterns. I can hear what people are saying when they're not even saying it, 5 minutes before they've said anything. And there are patterns to that, how they look, how they breathe, how they think, what they're saying beforehand. And so really what I was able to do is be like, this is the method, this is the method, this is the method, this is the method. And then she was able to really look at, or when is she using it? How is she using it? How does she know how to use it? And so it was a real collaboration in us putting together the certification, which interestingly enough covers all of the skill set. So all of the mindset, all of the energetics, all of the how to be a world-class coach, but then all of the business stuff. So the messaging, the sales, and all of everything that I said to you, said, what are you known for? Everything has been put into the certification.
So it's just a different container then, actually. Yeah. It's because in fact, I wanted to say, like, what did you have to consider before closing down something that seemed hugely successful?
I mean, it was a £1 million revenue stream.
So what questions did you ask yourself, Suzy, or the team?
Yeah. Well, it was just me.
What questions did you ask yourself? Am
I happy? Okay. Do I want to continue doing this?
Yeah.
Can I see myself doing this in 2 years' time, 3 years' time?
Okay.
And the answer was, I'm feeling less happy.
So when you were realizing you weren't going to renew one model of the business, you're working on the other. And the little I know about certification, it takes time because it obviously has to be run past the bodies. Is that correct? What do you do with your business in that interim part? Because unless you doubled the size of your team, I'm assuming it's people within your team that were helping you create.
Yeah. So with Sesh, actually her genius is around course creation and that educational piece.
Okay.
And she had been working as a coach in my business, and she still coaches.
Yeah.
But at the time it was very much launch focused. We were teaching people how to launch.
Yeah.
And so actually it made sense for her to kind of pivot out of the role that she was in into this new role, and then other people and myself pick up the slack.
Right.
So I think that one of the things that people get stuck on is actually moving when they need to move, making the pivot. They get really afraid. I've never really been afraid of that.
Right. And what did it mean for you in the business? Because you were saying one of the questions you asked yourself was, am I happy? Is this the business I want to have in 2 or 3 years' time? Changing that model, what did it mean to you personally and how much you have to be the business?
Changing that model was massive. I basically cut £1 million out of my business. And so that was a really, we went from doing multi-millions a year, like over 2 million, back to doing 1.2.
Wow.
And so it was a really, really big, scary deal. And if I'm really honest, I just thought, I'll easily be able to replace that.
Well, that's almost what I'm thinking. Yeah. Were you thinking but I'll get that back in a year?
Yeah. No, it didn't just come back like that, and our business hasn't gone back to the height of that yet. I learned so much about business, not just myself, but about business, making that decision. If I had to do that decision again, I would probably have a better plan for what I was going to do to replace the revenue. I would still make the decision. I wouldn't have kept it going. I've seen it so many times where people are not passionate about what it is that they do. It costs them their spirit. It costs them really the trust that their clients have with them, because you can always tell if somebody is not passionate about what it is that they are doing. The delivery is just, in our business where we're working with people's hearts and their dreams, people can tell if you are not fully invested because you're tired or you're burned out or you just so I wouldn't have kept it going, but I think I would have had I would have been more intentional about, okay, if we are dropping 80 grand a month over here, what do you think is the thing that is going to replace that here? I didn't do that.
Yeah, that surprises me though. Why didn't you do that? What were you thinking would happen?
I think that I just thought that not everything I touch turns to gold. But I think I just thought that I would, at the time, there was a lot of just follow the flow, just follow your intuition.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot, especially in my world.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believed that. What I have learned is that you have to have a structure. That's the masculine piece. And then you flow within the structure. And I think that at the time, I was being mentored by people who were very much flow and intuition.
Right.
And I followed that guidance.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the right. What I've learned about business is it's up and down on the way up.
Yeah.
What I've learned about business, the reason I'm still here, still have a team of 6 people, still have a 7-figure business.
And I know it doesn't feel like a gift in the moment, but for me, I'm sat here thinking, God, what an amazing gift to get this many years into business. And I don't say that lightly. I know it wouldn't have necessarily felt it every moment, because that's the other thing. When you're running a successful business, you're still having to show up. Yeah. We still have to see, wow, strong, positive Suzy out there leading, standing on stages, running courses and programs. But when you consider now,
oh my God,
was it the gift that you were potentially not even realizing you needed?
1,000%.
Wow. But you said something else there as well. You said, not everything I touch turns to gold. And I think I'd love to understand that a little bit, because obviously you've been in business a really long time. So you'd have tried loads of different methods and models, and, you learn different things from coaches. Why has that been valuable for you in business, to at least be willing to try?
Oh, I just think it would be so boring. Like, for me, right now, it's very fashionable. Everybody's got ADHD and everybody's like, oh, the reason I can't concentrate on this, the reason I can't concentrate on that. And I'm like, they call it the entrepreneurial disease for a reason. Like, I do not have ADHD, but my attention span for things is pretty narrow. So I would be so bored if I was just doing the same thing all the time. And like, that was a big mess up. Or a big, I don't know what you call it, a big dip, let's call it that, rather than a mess up. But I mean, I'm having mini failures every other month,
So interesting. And how do you deal with, like, what does that feel like when you're at your level of business? How do you deal with that?
I think probably because of the big one, and also the work in the cert, my nervous system regulation now is better than what it's ever been.
Yeah.
There's that, like, I can manage stress in my body very effectively. I think my level of trust and faith has never been bigger. Like, I know no matter what happens, I am always going to be okay. And if I know that I am always going to be okay without exception, like, there is no need to stress. It's just like, relax. What is the next best step? And so I've just got very, very good with handling risk and stress in ways that I think that some people probably need more support with.
What 2 or 3 things do you do when you have to dust yourself off and go out and get that money? And, you're one of the first people who said this to me when I started in business, which is, what would you do if your back was against the wall? Yeah. If you had to get the money in, and God, that moment comes so many times. So what does that look like for you now, Suzy? What practically do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I meditate. I'm obsessed with meditation. So that is a big part of it. I'll move my body.
Yeah.
So that's the gym, it's pole dancing.
Yeah.
It's walking. This is not necessarily something that is a regular practice for me right now. But if my back was up against the wall, I would absolutely go to the beach, let the water do its work, be by the sea, fresh air, any fresh air.
Yeah.
Because I live near the sea, I would go to the sea. Those 3 things without exception. I need to just be able to create spaciousness for me to think. And then I think the thing that everybody needs to have, you've got to have your why. You've got to have your mission. You have to have your vision. I genuinely believe that if people understood their own unique greatness, they wouldn't mug somebody. They wouldn't try and steal from them. If somebody felt truly supported, both in their life and universally, they wouldn't feel so much fear. I believe that if we knew that it was safe for us to be vulnerable, to open our hearts, and for people to really just say, this is who I am, from the pillar of love, we wouldn't be at war. That's the mission. And part of, and how that's extended now for us as a company, we have really big give goals. So by 2030, I want our business to be in the position to have donated £1 million in a single year.
Wow.
This year is 25,000. We've got about 10,000 to go. Next year it'll be 50,000. So it's like, I've got these things driving me. How am I going to create those outcomes to be the model for my work? And what I understand is that it's, as one of my mentors has said, Melanie Ann Layer, up and down on the way up.
Yeah.
I'll win some, I'll learn some, I'll win some, I'll learn some. I've got to get better at the winning and get better at the learning.
And believing and knowing that actually there is the win, the learn, the win, the learn. It's not just learn, and then you start winning. No. I've been in spaces where people have spoken to you, whether it's on coaching calls or whether it's, at your events, where they're still getting comfortable with making money. And you are one of the first people that I listened to that was like, but making money allows me to do so much more. Yes. I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, the idea of earning £10,000 a month feels like, it's really big money for a lot of people. And I get it. Once you start having a couple of team members, you'll realise, one, that is not actually that big money when you are working for yourself, particularly in the type of business model that I have, which isn't just courses. It is coaching. And money will buy you freedom, and it does buy you influence. Yeah. And that influence is needed if you want to create a big impact in the world. 2 years ago at one of my events, we did this charity segment where I've been supporting a charity called Love Support Unite since maybe 2018. And we decided that we were going to raise some money for them. We raised £17,000 in an hour through audience members reaching out to their networks and asking them to donate. That £17,000 this year built a maternity unit.
Wow.
That maternity unit is going to save children's and mothers' lives for generations. Like, that is what it means to be able to raise £17,000. We did it in an hour. So I love the idea of us being able to live more and give more. I want you to have the holidays, the cars, the whatever it is that you want to create for yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I want you to be able to really give. And in order to do that, that means that you have to help more people. The more people you help, the more money you make. The more money you make, the more you can live and the more you can give.
When I hear you, obviously, truly inspire me. So if I was going to ask you, alongside working harder, what is it that you've done that has allowed you to share and build what you've built over the last 12 or 13 years? What is it?
I think I just really believe in my work. I have...
In your work, not even yourself, but in your work.
In my work.
Interesting.
I have really committed to being a model for the work. And I think because that has worked for me, I've been able to show up authentically.
Yeah.
It excites me. I love to see people win. And the more I give myself permission to win, the easier it is to activate other people when it comes to their winning. So it's been a real co-creation.
Well, it's incredible to listen to you, Suzy. I do definitely feel like this is literally part one, but we'll go with the amazing stuff that we have spoken about. We have a little bit of a tradition. There's like two things I'd love to do with you. There is so much more that we can touch on, but I think one of the things that might be amazing is we do something called the atomic clock. So I'm going to, for 60 seconds, I shall be looking down at my watch. I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. And then I'd love to know, if you had 60 seconds to impart some knowledge, what would you say? I'm going to just look at the question. Actually, and this has a particular person who's asked this question, and that's Liz Hamlet. So Liz asks, when it comes to success in sales, so making money, what do you wish you'd known on the way up that maybe now you take for granted?
In the beginning, when it came to sales, it was about hitting the target and like, what am I getting out of this? Whereas what I take for granted now is that sales is not about me at all. Sales is about being of service. Sales is about taking a stand for somebody's future and the highest vision that they have for their future. And when they've told you what it is that they need and what it is that they want, and you know that you have the thing that can support them in getting there, you are doing them such a disservice if you do not own the genius of your product or your service or how you can help them. So I wish I'd known that at the very beginning.
That was an amazing masterclass in sales, literally in 60 seconds. Thank you, Suzy. We have a closing tradition here, Suzy, which is always really popular. And I'd actually love to know your answers, which is I've got 3 questions for you, which is, what are you watching, listening to, and reading right now? And we won't judge. I feel like you're about to tell me something and you're worried we might judge. Go on, go for it.
I am watching right now is The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Now I know this about you. You love a Real Housewives, don't you?
I love a Real Housewives.
Okay, yeah.
I love a Real Housewives and a true crime.
Yeah.
And what I am listening to at the moment is Signs by Dr. Tara Schwartz.
Oh, yes. You're listening
you want music?
To that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
no, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
But I'm an audible person, so I don't really read.
Right. Okay.
So much. So that's what I'm reading, but I'm listening
Me too.
to.
Yeah.
And then I am listening to Lizzo's new mixtape, which is like really, it's a bit. She's in her I don't give an F era.
Okay.
It's quite hardcore. It's a bit explicit, but also quite fun.
I said probably perfect for the pole dancing.
It is. It's maybe a little bit too upbeat for the pole dancing.
Okay. Amazing.
I love it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Suzy, thank you so much. Like what a journey and what a pleasure to sit here, and thank you for the rawness and the honesty. And just, I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Now, that was a masterclass for me in how building a business is not just about getting to a point where you win. Like even when you're winning, Suzy got to a point in her business where she was willing to lose £1 million worth of revenue because it no longer served her and the direction that she wanted the business to go in. But also she wasn't sat there saying that then that meant that it was all easy going forwards from there. 10 years on to be saying that year 10 was almost as hard as year 1. I think that's the kind of honesty that we need, but also what she has changed and what she has done to build a business that still has a trajectory of growth and of moving forward, but also the give back element of what Suzy does, tapping into the why and remembering that what she digs deep on is more than just working harder. It's actually more than just her self-belief. It's the belief that what she does truly works and makes a difference. And listening to her intuition and her gut. So a true masterclass in, I think, yet again, resilience, pivot, and change. Thanks so much for listening to Don't Work Harder. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share. This show has been brought to you by Atomic, the home of epic business growth. Head to our website at atomic.site to hear more about our business programs and epic events.